Time for the news now. The police in the central region have begun investigations into the sale of subsidized outboard motors by some executives of the governing NPP in the region. This follows a complaint lodged by the MCE for Mfantsiman against the constituency's second vice chairman, David Awotri, who has been indicted in an investigative report for using his late uncle's fishing canoe to buy the subsidized outboard motor at 10,000 Ghana cedis to sell it off at 16,000 Ghana cedis. Freelance investigative reporter Manasseh Azariah went undercover in the central region and reveals how some of the outboard motors got into wrong hands.
Some fishermen in Elmina in August this year said party executives of the governing MPP had hijacked the machines and were selling them at prices higher than the subsidized price.
No, 100 about them. This is the Elmina fishing harbour in the central region. Some fishermen I've spoken to say business has gone very bad because of the activities of pair trawlers. They therefore find it very difficult to meet their operational cost and therefore welcomed the decision by the government to subsidize the machines they use for fishing. However, they say having access or getting some of the machines to buy at the subsidized cost is a problem.
These allegations are widespread in the central region, but are often dismissed as untrue. I put a team together to go undercover to ascertain the veracity of these claims. The team came across people who were willing to sell the government-subsidized outboard motors in Abuesi in the western region, and Mori, Brewa and Apam in the central region. Prices quoted ranged from 14,000 to 16,000 cedis. At Brewa in the Mfantsiman municipality, we were led to the constituency women's organizer of the MPP, whom our sources said had some of the machines for sale. When we met her, she said she had sold hers, but directed us to a man who acted as a middleman for another seller of the subsidized machines. The middleman led us to where the machine was and insisted that the cost of the machine was 16,000 cedis and nothing less.
This is a 40 horsepower Yamaha outboard motor my team and I have just bought from one David Awotri in Brewa in the central region here. These outboard motors have been subsidized by the government of Ghana and are meant to be sold to the fishermen. But some members of the governing New Patriotic Party have hijacked them and are selling at a higher price than the price that is supposed to have been sold to the fishermen.
That machine belonged to the MPP constituency second vice chairman, David Awotri. When the sale was sealed, we requested a receipt and he wrote it on an MPP notepad. When I called David Awotri later, he told me he had used the details of his late uncle's canoe to secure the subsidized outboard motors, even though he wasn't a fisherman.
The
canoe is faulty, so it had to be repaired. The money used to buy the outboard motor was borrowed with interest, so we decided to sell the outboard motor and repair the canoe.
When I drew his attention to the issue, the Central Regional Minister, Kwame Nadanka, said he had instructed the Municipal Chief Executive of Mfantsiman to act on the matter.
Once this came to my notice, immediately I got in touch with the Municipal Chief Executive for him to give me the background to that. And he did indeed say that this person who has come on the radar, that he's got one and has decided to sell it over and above the subsidized price, was indeed given one. But he was given one meant for relative fishermen. So I instructed that quickly bring this report to the police and let the police go and pick him up.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive of the Coastal Development Authority, Jerry Ahmed Shaib, has condemned the action of the second vice chairman and backed the call by the minister for his arrest and prosecution. Now, Parliament has thrown its support behind the executive to deal decisively with attempt by secessionists to declare an independent Western Togoland. Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu told MPs on the first day of sit-in following a 7-week break. The president can be assured the House supports efforts to keep a united country.
We all must work to preserve the peace, the stability, and the unity of our country. So whilst welcoming members, Mr. Speaker, there is an ugly threat to the stability, sovereignty, and territory of Ghana in the Volta region. The President, as Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, be assured that he has the full support of the House to deal decisively, ruthlessly with the threat to the sovereignty and integrity of our country. We cannot afford a disunited Ghana. I'm sure he is campaigning to lead a united country, just as Excellency John Dramani Mahama is campaigning to lead a united country.
Meanwhile, Minority Leader Oseiche Mensah Bonsu says he hopes no member of Parliament is behind the agenda to split the country.
The Speaker, the Minority Leader has spoken to the unfortunate incidents happening in the Volta region. I don't want to believe that any of us here will buy into that agenda. This country has had a referendum in 1992 and resolves as a nation that we will live together in unity, and we resolve to also protect the stability of this country. The clarion call should go to all of us. It should go to all of us herein assembled as members of Parliament, that collective resolve which happened when we conducted the referendum that approved the 1992 Constitution still holds.
Away from Parliament, staff of the Ghana Airport Company Limited are threatening to lay down their tools in 14 days if their managing director is not removed. The staff in the petition have accused the MD Yao Kwakwa of mismanagement and other conduct they say are not in the best interest of the company, particularly outsourcing at exorbitant costs, key aspect of the company's operations that could be handled by internal units. Kweku Asante was at the airport yesterday and reported there were red strips all over the premises.
The Kotoka International Airport is red. Staff of the Ghana Airport Company Limited have clad most areas with red cloth to show their anger. According to the union, they want the managing director of the company, Mr. Yao Kwakwa, out for what they say is his gross neglect of the needs of the staff of the company. So as you can see behind me in your shots, the Ghana Airport Company Limited, the staff are up in arms against the managing director of the company, Mr. Yao Kwakwa. They are saying he should be removed by the president. They've actually sent a petition. I'm quoting, as leaders of the Divisional Workers Union represented the entire general staff body, we are convinced after engagement with our members at the headquarters and the regional airports that the only way to get the company back on its track and achieve the president's vision of making KIA an aviation hub in the sub-region is the removal of the managing director. Here is Abdul Issa Kabamba, leader of the Ghana Airport Company Limited Workers Union.
Yes, and we have a lot of issues, and a lot of them bordered on his lack of interest in the welfare of staff. So based on that, we are not ready to work with him any longer. Now let me just reference you. This is not coming from only us, the union executives. Before this decision was taken, the executives used almost 2 months to engage staff. He's not taking care of our welfare, and we think that any good managing director, the staff should be his #1 assets. Now, if he's not interested in the welfare of staff to the extent that even their health issues are not being taken care of, we think he's not the best person to manage the company.
The union confirms also that their demands are partly due to the purported move to privatize the company.
They cannot be treated in isolation. In fact, when we add all these things together, we can conclude that he had a grand scheme of running the company down and have a good reason to hand it over to the private people. That's what we think.
The 14 days ultimatum to the president to dismiss the Ghana Airport Company Limited MD expires in 2 days, on Thursday. It is left to be seen what other action the staff will take to press home their demand. But for now, Their stance remains that the MD has demonstrated gross incompetence and also a lack of critical understanding of the aviation industry. Hence, his continuous stay will derail the progress of the company.
Now, Chairman of Parliament's Finance Committee, Dr. Makesi Yeboah, is disputing claims by the Foreign Affairs Minister that a directive by the ING Bank to Ghana's embassy in Belgium to close its accounts is due to the European Union's decision to put Ghana on EU money laundering and terrorism financing watch lists. Shirley Ayakoboche told Manasseh Azariah-Wene in an interview the directive is due to the blacklist. But Dr. Sibe Yeboah tells Joy News this cannot be accurate, insisting if the directive had anything to do with the blacklist, other embassies in Europe would have been affected too. He, however, says efforts are ongoing to pass a stronger anti-money laundering bill to curb such illegal acts. Now let's go to the courts now, as lawyers for Asin Central MP Kennedy Japong have raised concerns over comments made by running mate for the NDC flag bearer, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, which they say puts undue pressure on the courts. Professor Agyeman, while interacting with officials of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, called for the law to deal with the MP as was done in the case of the Muntie 3. Mr. Japong's lawyers on Tuesday raised the matter as they pushed to have the court grant them an in-camera hearing. Court correspondent Joseph Akable reports.
If you say somebody has scandalized the law court and you allow the process to go through, the person has apologized, has done everything, the law took its course. The person was fined, the person was sentenced, the person is in prison. You say, okay, clemency. It is part of the judicial system to apply for clemency. And people pretend they don't understand why there should be a petition. Another person does the same thing, also scandalizes the court, and just says, oh, he's come to apologize, so it's okay. That is corruption.
These remarks by the NDC's Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman formed part of the basis of the MP's lawyers' push for an in-camera hearing. A member of the legal team, Afenyo Markin, said this puts pressure on the court and subjects it to what he called, quote, gallery interpretation, end quote. This was when Dr. Kenado, who has granted the MP a 14-day excuse duty, addressed the court. Justice Wuni, however, rejected the request for an in-camera hearing. The MP is to show up in court and defend comments he made, which the court considers as amounting to contempt. But the MP has so far been absent, with lawyers explaining he's unwell. In a testimony lasting well over 60 minutes, Dr. Ado said the MP's condition was unusual. This, according to him, was because of a medication he placed the MP on for 14 days. He told the court this is what accounted for the excuse duty. Justice Wuni then raised issues with the document signed by the doctor. First was the fact that the document did not have an outpatient department number, aside from pointing out that the MP's age is not stated on the document, even though it provides for that. Dr. Ado first explained that he issued a note on an outpatient basis. This, he said, was after he had detained the MP on September 25 and discharged him on September 26. On the MP's age, the doctor said he opted to write adult just so his age is not noticed by anyone who sees the document. Justice Wuni pointed out that the MP is a public figure whose age is known. He added that he was surprised the age was not written, even though the form required that it is written. Dr. Ado agreed with the judge. The medical doctor then stated further that he granted the MP 14 days without a review because it was necessary. While adjourning the case, Justice Wuni said, quote, as professionals, as much as possible in the interest of this dear nation of ours, we must do what is right, ethical, so as to lift this country to higher heights, end quote. The case has been adjourned indefinitely.
Of course, you're on your election headquarters. We talk election-related stories now. President Akufo-Addo has tasked the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jean Mensah, to ensure the 2020 general elections are conducted in a transparent, credible and fair manner, declaring he doesn't want to be the beneficiary of a crooked election. He made these comments Tuesday as he filed his nomination at the Electoral Commission's offices.
first opponents, the John Dramani Mahama and the NDC, have expressed some misgivings about the processes. You just also mentioned in there that you don't want to be elected in any crooked election. Do you trust the processes so far, as has been exhibited?
Unless you have some kind of hidden agenda, anybody can doubt the fairness of the processes that have so far. We are all witnesses to the process, and I think that all serious-minded Ghanaians are clear that we're witnessing the fraud process. There are some who are investing in trying to discredit the process for their own sectarian ends. I'm not one of them.
Elsewhere, the flag bearer of the Ghana Union Movement, Christian Kwabena Andrews, popularly known as Sofotra Bosom, has charged chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Madam Jim Mensah, to prove her neutrality in the upcoming December polls. According to him, the credibility of the December polls is largely dependent on the conduct of the Commission, adding the EC must desire to clear the perceived bias against some political parties. He said this after submitting his nomination forms to contest the December election.
Ghana Union Movement, this is setting the ball rolling. You know, everything that needs to start with a step. It's a step that we have made. It's a test step, because the first one was to give us a first certificate, a second certificate, and now they are receiving our filing, a nomination, everything. I think it is a step to a victory for us in this 2020 election. And definitely we are going to beat NDC and MPP, and they will not come to power.
We'll come to NDC and MPP, but the question I'm asking is, I mean, you raised a concern about the credibility of the Electoral Commission.
Yeah.
Do you get the sense that the EC is biased or impartial?
That is what had been in the whole realm, that people have been talking about these things. The EC bosses are not all that truthful. They are people that they always support the party that brought them to the seat, and that is what I was alerting them, that they should be very careful to just be a fair play for all of us, so that Ghanaians are going to prove themselves.
So what is your own independent assessment of this commission?
In natural sense, it's good. They have done well. That is why even once I came after the registration, I came and congratulated them because they did well. I thought as it started, everybody was this very hooliganism that started everything. That I thought maybe there's going to be a trouble in the country, but they did it well and nothing happened. That's why I give them that very applause, and I'm expecting them to do the same as we are entering into the final election.
Still on elections, despite President Akufo-Addo's admonition to voters to reject independent candidates, Member of Parliament for Fomena in the Ashanti region, Andrew Amankwa Isiama, has filed his nomination to contest his re-election as an independent candidate. His decision comes after refusing to contest the party's primaries following claims of discrepancies in the voter album. If successful, the MP for Fomena will be the first independent representative and the second non-NPP candidate for the area after the NDC won the seat back in 1992. Love FM's Nana Yaujima visited the constituency and has filed this report.
The incumbent MP contested the voter album for the NPP's primaries in court after internal process to rectify supposed anomalies proved futile. Mr. Isiama withdrew from the NPP parliamentary primaries after he lost legal action, leaving Philip Ofori Asante to run unopposed. The MP has since filed nomination to contest the seat as an independent candidate, automatically denouncing his membership of the NPP. Some constituents are excited about the move. One of them is former NPP Communications Director, Seth Odro.
People have realized that he needs to be maintained to continue his good works he has started. The choice of an MP depends solely on the constituents. No one else, no regional chairman, nor regional campaign team can determine our MP for us.
They accuse the constituency chairman, Akwesi Anti Asamoah, of scheming to ensure successive MPs serve one term.
With the inception of Chairman Akwesinti into office, everything has changed. All MPs who have come after Honorable Afrifa had only one-term mandate, which is 4 years. Honorable Abu Bonsra, 4 years. Honorable Atabuafo, 4 years. There was an attempt to give lawyer Asiama also 1 year term to experience same. The reason given by constituency chairman and his executive has always been non-performance. However, with regard to the current MP, Honorable Asiama, he has performed so creditably.
But the NPP is not perturbed. Party chairman Akwesi Anti Asamoah says there is no hidden agenda.
Chairman Akwesi ma obi anko one time. Said the man for be perception.
I have no agenda to remove MPs after one term. As youth organizer, I followed and campaigned for the late Honorable Afrifa, and he went for 3 terms. Abu Bonsra took over after his demise. I single-handedly convinced the party members to let him do another term, since his first was just 2 years. Atabuafo contested him and won. Atabuafo also lost his next bid to Honorable Asiama, who worked with him at KMA. For Joy News, Nana Aljima reporting.
And that's it for the AM News. Stay with us. We've got the review coming up in a bit. Joseph Akable will join me. Later on, we're talking about the third quarter road crash report that is out. Details, well, very horrible in terms of the figures that we're getting. But that's not surprising because we've recorded some very gory accidents in recent weeks with many deaths as well. And then later on, still to come, is OWAS at Disco and Presec in the finals of the National Science and Maths Quiz. They are on our show ahead of that competition. Stay with us. Well, thank you for joining us. If you just tuned in, well, you missed a lot, but you join us at a very good time too, because we're now going to get into the newspapers and tell you what's making headlines. We're done with the AM News. Joseph Akable is here to help us with the review. Good morning, Joseph.
Good morning, Mavi. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm great. I'm in great spirits. Yesterday, I predicted Legon Presec will go through. The schools that Joseph predicted will go through are actually knocked out. I thought it's important that we revisit this all-important subject. And the margin, you saw what happened, Legon Presec did, the margin.
Yeah,
so I'm very excited.
With that contest, I don't know. I think it was the Adisco one. That was the one that, the second contest of the day. I guess that was a really tough one.
Yeah, it's got more of a nail-biting contest, right?
Absolutely.
To the very final minutes where a question has to be picked to give someone the lead. Very tough contest it was. But it's either the questions were too difficult or the contestants were not good enough because of the score they had. They had about 20-something. Even as at round 4, they were still less than 20, and that tells you if you compare to what Legon Presec did. And so those are the two options: either the contestants were not good, or the questions were too tough,
or they had tough opponents. Because you see, when you have, I don't want to say weaker opponents, but if your opponent is not able to answer, it comes to you, so you can make a lot of points from others, not necessarily because you answered your questions correctly. So it could be that as well.
It could be that, but what we saw in the Presec contest was that the guys are going for accuracy rather than speed. And so there were many instances where they were not the first to ring the bell, but it goes round. Then when they ring the bell, eventually they get the answer right. I don't know how they were doing that.
It takes a lot of experience and guts to want to do that. Because we've seen that in some of the other contests. It's not because the young people didn't know. They did, but sometimes they rushed, and you find the quiz mistress even saying, if only you had waited. Like the next clue would give you the answer, you would have gotten it, but you rushed it.
Yeah.
They've stayed back and watched a lot of them, so they've mastered their crafts, and this is the sixth time they want to win the trophy, so they are quite experienced. But today is 7th of October. In exactly 2 months, we will be going to the polls. It's very, very close now.
Wow, it's amazing. I just remember the 2016 election, and it's just so soon, 4 years down the line.
Okay, we'll continue to preach peace, though. It's exchange of ideas. We're not going to fight. You just go and vote and go away and watch Joy News. We'll tell you the results as we do every 4 years. It's your election headquarters. Let's do the review. Joseph, you start with the Times or the Daily Guide?
I'll start with the front page of the Ghanaian Times.
Okay.
That election story says, a president files nomination for re-election bid. And another story here says, Kennedy Japan's excuse duty is genuine, doctor tells court. And president launches global business initiative to connect young people to entrepreneurs, investors worldwide. And I have no link to secessionist group, Volta regional minister. You can find details of that story. The back page of the Ghanaian Times says, government to raise bonds to address housing deficit. Adan East Island communities to get mini grid. Also on the back page of the Ghanaian Times. The Daily Guide says, a president pays DK Poison $45,000 loan after 44 years. And Nathaniel Ato did a story on the boxing loan.
A documentary, actually.
Yeah, a documentary, yes. And already I've seen some lawyers raise some arguments about this particular issue. And so there are some who are arguing that it should come with interest.
Of course.
And there are others who are arguing that if you read a letter from the presidency closely, you realize that whoever authored the letter was thinking legally, in that the grounds for the payment is compassionate grounds. And so the other argument is that the state is not acknowledging the existence of the debt, neither is it disputing it, it's simply saying that I'm paying this amount on compassionate grounds. And so the question remains that, okay, so the person has not actually acknowledged the debt, but he's paying you this amount. And so would you say that, the debt has even been acknowledged to even make a demand for with interest in the first place?
We should ask those making that argument if they would lend $45,000 to Ghana.
It hasn't been paid actually for 44 years. It's not in doubt.
You should ask them.
Yeah, but he has been demanding for 44 years. So that is the issue there. But the good thing is that at least the state is trying to pay the original amounts. But $45,000 44 years ago.
Yeah.
This was our first world champion, and for someone like me who has an interest in boxing, it introduced me to how the feeling was at that time. And Azuma is considered one of the greatest boxers from Africa. And Azuma was talking about what it meant to him as a boy when DK Poison won that title. And it led to, we have 9 world champions, including
the Daily Graphic on page 20 actually has a response from DK Poison. It says, I'm happy to get refund at last. So a bit of that. Ghanaian boxing legend David Kote Poison says he's a happy man and finally at peace after President Akufo-Addo directed that an amount of $45,000 owed him by the state be paid to him on compassionate grounds. A close associate of the boxer has revealed. Closer home once you watch it. But back on the front page of the Daily Graphic, conduct fair elections. President charges Electoral Commission after filing. Council of State Graphic pledge support for Rollins. I'm happy to get refund at last. DK Poison, that details that I shared. Post-COVID-19 recovery, business recovery initiative launched is also another story there. In the back page of the paper today. Work begins on 3 mini power grids at Ada. Doctor justifies Kennedy Japan's excuse duty. The man who was in court is here. He's brought us a very extensive report, which we shared with you in our AM news. But I usually like the backstory, the one that doesn't make you don't find space for it in the story itself, the juicy parts. So Joseph,
yes,
they wanted an in-camera hearing.
I remember that request being made minimum of 6 times, either by the doctor's lawyer or Mr. Kennedy Japon's lawyers. In fact, Mr. Fenyo Markin, a member of Mr. Japon's legal team, introduced an interesting phrase. He says gallery interpretation. It says the media is engaged in gallery interpretation and creating all sorts of impression. And so if we are allowed to listen to whatever is transpiring in court, that will happen again. And so he asked that if the judge, because he had said they should go into chambers and the judge rejected it, then he raised the issue again that at least they should clear, because the judge had made a point that even chambers is not safe because his office is very small and COVID-19, they have to space out. They said, okay, then the option is that they should clear the courtroom of the journalists and the others in there so that they could have, opportunity to listen to the doctor. And his explanation, or the reason for that application that he made was that this borders on someone's medical records, and he doesn't understand how the doctor can speak to the excuse duty without talking about Mr. Japon's condition, which will breach the client-doctor privilege.
Hang on, what question did the judge raise?
He had not even started asking the questions. Immediately they came in, he said he was come to speak to the excuse duty, which had been submitted to the court. And so even before he asked his first question, the objection was raised. Then he rejected
but this objection was not raised when the judge requested that he wanted to see the doctor the first time?
No, it wasn't raised, no.
Okay, but it was after he appeared?
Yeah, that it was raised.
So they wanted to sack you guys?
Yeah. We're seated quietly at the back. One of those occasions when people are pushing to determine your fate of a sort and you have no say in it. But that's the process. And the judge...
But I haven't heard that any of you, those of you reporting on this particular case, any of you has misrepresented the facts. There hasn't been anything like that. And this judge pays attention to details. If any of you reporters had done anything like that, he would have raised it in the courtroom.
In fact, the judge made that point, and he says that, he expects that we report what reflects the proceedings of the day. And so, as far as he's concerned, that is the advice that he will give. But he actually emphasized the fact that the pressmen were important to the proceedings, and this is a matter of national interest. And so he doesn't think the client-doctor privilege will be breached, especially if they stay off the man's medical records and just limit it to the excuse duty. And an important question the judge asked the doctor to comment on was what he makes of the view that the excuse duty was calculated to delay the court, in that they came to court on a Friday, a Saturday, or they're supposed to come back on a Monday. Then a Monday, we are told that this is an excuse duty that was written on a Saturday, excusing him from activities for 14 days. And the doctor commented that, he assessed the situation and he came to the conclusion that these are the number of days that he needs. He says he gave him some medication and it's the side effects that is taking place now, for which reason he thinks he needs that number of days to get well. So at the end of the whole testimony, giving the questions and answering and everything, the judge now says he wants to make some comments at the end. And he now talks about the fact that as professionals, we need to be very ethical to ensure that this nation, Ghana, does not go the wrong way.
But who is he speaking to?
I have no idea. At this point, he had discharged the doctor and he said he wants to make these comments and he wants the comments to be captured on record. And so I guess the doctor was still there, but he had discharged the doctor. So I don't know whether it was directed at the doctor or was directed at all of us. But the point he made was that, you should, he says that as professionals, we should be ethical to ensure that we build this nation, else we risk destroying this nation.
Well, I think he was speaking to everybody in the courtroom, including you, the journalist, because you've come to repeat what he said, which is very important. So you've sent that message across to a lot more people than he could have reached. But it seemed to me that the reason he wanted the doctor, and he didn't say it the first time, but it was just the timing. The timing for that excuse duty.
Yes. In fact, the doctor at a point did make the case that ordinarily when you are on such drugs, it should be for 5 to 7 days. But it's because of the unusual nature of his condition. That's why he made it the 14 days. And the other concern the judge had was that he also realized that, normally for excuse duty, you indicate that come for review at a certain point in time. And so you're saying that he noticed that this one, 14 straight days, it doesn't make any reference to a review. But the doctor explained that it's because of the unusual nature of the condition. And so the excuse duty ends on October 10.
October 10.
October 10. Then on October 10 is a Saturday. And October 12, Mr. Japon's lawyers have an application before the same judge. Asking him to hold on with his proceedings. Then on October 13, there's another one at the Supreme Court, which they have also filed, and the Supreme Court by that time would have resumed from the vacation. So that is their situation now.
So when is Mr. Japan himself expected to appear after the?
Obviously, after October 10, he has no reason not to show up in court unless another excuse duty maybe is extended because his condition is not getting any better. But I'm sure we all wish him a speedy recovery.
Oh, absolutely, we do. Because Parliament is back, I'm not sure.
Yes, it also came up, and the doctor, so the judge asked the doctor whether he was aware Parliament was on recess and that they were resuming yesterday. And the doctor said they can ask 90% of doctors. He's very sure that they don't know whether Parliament is on recess or resuming. So the judge's question now was that, okay, so does this excuse duty include Parliament? Then his response was that it's for all activities, and so he doesn't expect him to go to Parliament as well.
Charlie, this is my judge of the year. What's his name again?
Wuntawuni, Justice Wuntawuni.
I need to keep that name. Okay, let's move on. The Daily Dispatch, front page, chiefs must follow the Asante-Hennes endorsement style. Party to earn €1 million a month at, no, £1 million a month. Oh, that's Pate. I was just linking to the politics. Political parties will earn £1 million. Okay, had asked now the impacts of running made focus on Dr. Bawumia and Professor Opoku Agyeman demanding tithes during COVID-19 unthinkable, according to Cardinal Texting. This is rather very interesting. A bit of the details as it is here. It is unacceptable for churches to squeeze money from members in COVID-19 times. Cardinal Peter Kojo-Apiatek-Singh has said he holds the view that the church should be supporting members at a time people are experiencing the adverse effects of the pandemic and not vice versa. The pandemic has resulted in thousands of job losses, with many businesses shutting completely or downsizing. But Cardinal Texting holds the view that church leaders should desist from asking members to squeeze water out of stone. There's more what he had to say. Very, very interesting. And I think I heard, Joseph, that there was a certain church that was given back to members, but I don't think it's Ghana. They were putting money in envelopes.
It's not in Ghana.
It's not in Ghana, right? Ah, okay. All right. Okay. So our producer this morning, Seriam Abla de Souza, says in her church they do it. House of Miracles. I'll come to House of Miracles so I can take away. Joseph, any other papers you have?
Yes, I have the Finder newspaper. The front page says, I want to win a December elections on merit. And another story says, Ghana joins global partnership to rescue businesses ravaged by COVID-19. Parliament charges national security to quell secessionist threats. And debt suspension cancellation pose major risks. Is coming from the Bank of Ghana.
All right, let's quickly run through the Daily Statesman. Front page, MPP women charged to lead Akufo-Addo's campaign, provide level playing field for all. Akufo-Addo charges the Electoral Commission as he files nomination for 4 more to do more. DK Poison to be paid $45,000. Loan to Ghana. That's it for the Daily Statesman. At least that's how the front page looks like. The Pate story is on the back page. Arsenal completes £45 million deal for Atletico Madrid midfielder. The custodian, Akufo-Addo, files 4 more years, denounces cooked election results. The former president, Mahama, also said a similar thing, right? When he said he would reject the results of a flawed election. They're all speaking the same language, aren't they? All right, let's do the National Enquirer. That's the last paper, and then we'll do myjournline.com. The full text of NDC's The People's Jumapa Manifesto is in today's edition. Okay, so produce audit report on cocoa roads now. Mahama Des Akufo-Addo. Also, Mahama is committed to developing Ghana, improving livelihoods, according to Nana Opoku Ajiman. Well, there are other stories. Mahama files presidential nomination on October 7, which is today, according to Peter Otokuno. All right. So that's it for the paper, The National Enquirer. Joseph, any story you want to highlight?
I think there's a story about the president commenting on the election and saying that he doesn't want to win a flawed elections. I mean, it's an interesting comment.
Crooked.
Okay, so I mean it's an interesting election. But the other thing I noticed too was that in 2016 I actually covered the filing of nomination form. The president, then the NPP's candidate, was actually the first to file his form. And back then he said that, you see, I'm the first to submit the paper and I'll be the first when the election is over. And he did. He was indeed the first. And then in 2020, this time around, he's saying that he's going to be the first again. But this time around, he wants to win an election that is credible. And we understand that the NDC is also going over to submit the form. And the EC did the process online, but it's the submission that needs to be done manually. And what's interesting about this time around is that in the past, there have been issues about the disqualification of some candidates. Now, this time around, they said they've set up 2 committees. There's a legal committee and there's an IT committee. And the legal committee will, more importantly, go through and see whether the forms that have been filled conforms to the requirement of law and whether or not everything is okay with it. While the IT committee will be looking at issues relating to the persons who endorsed the form, as to whether they are actually registered voters as they claim to be, and all the other issues before a decision will be taken to give someone a green light to contest or not. And if you recall, in 2016, they disqualified someone like Dr. Papakwesi Indum. It ended up in court. And that's how the first time I encountered this judge I know you admire a lot, Justice Eric Bafo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's the one who ruled on that particular case, the PPP versus the Electoral Commission, which eventually ended up at the Supreme Court because the court ruled in favor of the PPP. The EC filed asking for the intervention of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court disagreed with the EC on that particular score. And so this time around, we hope that they're able to deal with these form issues quickly. And more importantly, one thing that the PPP case came up or established was the fact that the bit about the fair hearing, once you identify the mistakes, the question the court asked the EC's lawyers was that, did they give them an opportunity to correct those mistakes, or they simply said, you have been disqualified? So that is one thing that the EC should look at. Else we'll have a running legal hurdles again. Like
and we don't have time for that. We don't have the luxury of time, particularly at this time. Let's do myjoyonline.com. You'll find some very interesting stories on myjoyonline.com, one that we'll highlight. But this issue we've talked about was Kennedy Japan's medical excuse duty calculated to delay court? Judge asked doctor. The thing I like about your write-ups, Joseph, is that you bring us the angles that we don't normally hear. You know, sometimes people just go for the obvious, but when you read the write-ups, you get a proper understanding of how things played out in court. So, big ups. There are other stories. There's a video: police retrieve firearms stolen by Volta secessionists. This issue about the Electoral Commission that we've talked about. CPP's Ivor Green Street selects Professor Emmanuel Bobobe as running mates. Interesting. Okay, there's another story that I want to talk about. Good man Amewu will only go to heaven, not Parliament. That's according to the General Secretary.
I read a story. He said he's a very good man, but his goodness will take him to heaven.
He says he's in the wrong political party. Essentially, that's what he's
So his goodness will take him to heaven, not Parliament.
But why not Parliament? Like, what does that mean?
He's good, but wrong party. So you have to go to heaven, not Parliament.
Well, so there's plenty more stories on myjoyonline.com that you can read. And of course, the big one, Presec set for a Disco Owas NSMQ finale clash. And they're on our show today as we look at preparations ahead of the finals. Joseph, any other thing?
No, we're just looking forward to the interaction you'll be having with the NSMQ guys.
Do you have a favorite? I mean, you keep mentioning Presec. You didn't go to Presec.
Yes, I explained why.
Because of the university.
I explained why.
Because of the university.
In fact, I was pushed to the wall to select Presec because Joseph was settling on schools that are from the area he comes from. And I said that unfortunately for me, there's no school from the Western region. the Enzima area.
So is that the standard? I mean, that was his choice.
Yeah, so I also made a choice that I prefer, Legon Presec because of proximity to the University of Ghana, Legon. Oreku
is, yeah, definitely Presec.
Yeah,
well,
so
I like the fact that this is Ashanti, Central, and Greater Accra.
Okay.
So it's gone beyond the 3 schools. There's now a clash between the 3 regions.
I'm not too sure whether the Sir Kanish guys will be supporting Legon Presec. You know the Sir Kanish guys?
The what?
Oh, Sir Kanish, you don't take public.
Oh, Seko Kanishi.
Yeah, the Kanishi school. There's a school at First Light. When you're coming from the castle, you say you are light at First Light. They were kicked out yesterday. Yeah.
That's not fair.
Oh, it's very fair.
Do you know how far they went?
Oh, how far?
Yesterday's competition was semi-finals. Hello.
Oh, okay. So next year, when you are talking about the winners, you'll be recounting those who were in the semi-finals.
So mention the name of the school and stop saying Kanishi First Light.
And First Light school.
Okay, so we'll see how things go down when they join us on the show. But listen, we were thinking, honestly, and we were all pushing for a girls' school to at least get into the finals and get the opportunity to win the trophy. But that hasn't come true again this year. Something hasn't worked for the girls. I don't know. Yesterday, we were talking about Ola girls and what may have gone wrong. It's not like they didn't know. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure. What's the issue?
I think,
and this is not just Ola. This is the girls' school we're talking about.
Yeah, and it's what it's worrying is you see the quiz mistress, the brilliant Dr. Kaufman, and a lot of in fact, I've not seen a male quiz master in the contest yet. You know, so you have brilliant women who are doing so well in the fields of maths and science, leading this particular whole contest, and you don't have any girls' school being able to win it. I mean, I think they need to be strategic and work towards winning. And it will be important that I'm told that St. Augustine's, I know of the situation at St. Augustine's, that right from first year, they identify the students after they take their first exam. Then they are put in the science and maths club where they are trained. And so by second year, some of them get a chance to contest. And it's same at St. Peter's too. And so that's how come you have people who even contest twice. So they do it when they're in second year, when they're in third year as well. And so I think the other schools, the girls' schools especially, they should be more strategic and deliberate about identify the talent early and training them to be able to compete. And maybe next year, we never know, we may be discussing a girls' school that has won this competition.
Yeah. Well, before we go, let's do the BBC. There's this story, White House aide test positive as military leaders quarantine. So COVID-19 is spreading further among those around U.S. President Donald Trump, with White House advisor Stephen Miller and a top military official infected. That story is right there. Meanwhile, they have another presidential debate, and the president says that he will take part in that debate. It looks like.
Should I tell you what someone told me?
Oh, yeah.
He said since Kennedy Japan's post-COVID-19 complications happened, Trump has gotten COVID and recovered, and he's going to debate now. So that's how long it has taken. Yeah.
Listen, we know that there are people who have suffered. There are complications after recovery. That's another thing. You remember we've talked about people suffering.
Being impotent.
Sometimes it's headache, continuous headache, fatigue. We've even heard about some people being impotent and so on and so forth. So when you think you recovered,
you need to be careful.
You need to be careful, absolutely. I mean, as for Mr. Trump, there is a reason he's doing that. He's got a very important election coming up, and he doesn't have time, and he has to look strong, appear to be strong for his following, if you like. All right, that's it for the review. Joseph, thanks a lot. We'll make way for Oreko Ampofo. More Pate news, other stories to share in sports. Stay with us.
Hello, good morning and welcome to the AM Sports with me, Orico Ampafo. Hope you had a fantastic evening. Now we start off from a story that we reported yesterday, and that has to do with DK poison. And a letter coming in from the office of the president gave the approval to the youth ministry to go ahead with the processes to start the payment of the 45,000 loan. Now, there has been a documentary that we've been showing, that's the boxing loan, and that gave background as to who DK Poison was and, why he gave the loan to the government of Ghana at that time. Yesterday, we were at the house of DK Poison to hear what he had to say after the president released the good news.
I wish they would accompany me to go and thank him, but, it won't be possible because of this tight shadow, which so they were all grateful, they were all happy.
Yeah. Now, if he were standing here, the president were right here with you, what would you say to him?
Thank you, sir. I would say thank you, sir, and may you live to be 101. Oh, I wasn't expecting, honestly. I wish him well. I wish him all the best, health, health and long life and prosperity. Yeah.
All right. So the message will definitely get to the president because our platforms go, all the way. So would like to say a very big thank you to you. What will be your final message in the face of all of it?
I thank everybody who, with their prayers, this thing came to pass. I thank everybody. I know most of Ghanaians, through their prayers and all, this thing has happened. So I thank everybody, most of Ghanaians, I know. So thank everybody, thank all.
That was Ghana's first ever world boxing champion, DK Poison. But from boxing, let's move over to some football and more specifically talk about the Ghana Premier League, which kicks off in 37 days. Now, Kotoko, who expected to challenge for the title, have stepped up their preparations ahead of the big season.
COVID-19 brought all sporting activities, including football, to a standstill for 6 months in the country, which precluded players and athletes from training. However, a few weeks ago, the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, lifted the ban on all sporting activities and gave the Ghana Football Association the green light to resume football and the clubs to begin training. Asante Kotoko conducted their COVID-19 test and started training 6 days ago at the Adakojachi training ground, but there were concerns about the sharpness of the players. Head coach of the Porcupine Warriors, Maxwell Konodu, was not satisfied with what he saw at training.
Honestly, mentally, I think the players are not too well, and physically too same, because you can clearly see, and it's obvious when they are running and when they are even playing what we call the rondo. It shows. But like I said, I've been saying, and I want to say it again, that they will need time, because I've been home for 5 to 6 months now, and I think gradually we will do whatever we need to do to get them back on track. But it won't be easy, so that's why we want to confine ourselves in the camp for about 3 weeks, so that after 3 weeks then we can tell that they are really picking up. But for now, there's no issue.
With over 5 weeks for the resumption of the football season, Coach Maxwell Konodu is optimistic the players will be in good shape and ready for the campaign.
Yeah, we can be ready. We will be ready. Whether we like it or not, we have to be ready by the time the league kicks off. And we want to assure our supporters that we will do everything in our power to get the players on good condition, physically and mentally. Psychologically, everything will be in place to support them to deliver for us. Our supporters should be rest assured that we'll do whatever in our power to make sure that the team rises to the level that we used to know Kotoko to be.
Asante Kotoko will be representing Ghana in the CAF Champions League next season.
It's another Wednesday. You're welcome to AM Business, our business segment, which comes your way every Wednesday here on our show. It's kindly brought to us by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. And we know that COVID-19 has had a very negative impact on some businesses here in our country. And the actions taken to stop the spread of the coronavirus, many feared, would lead to affect the poultry industry and also nutrition. But contrary to that, the Ghana Poultry Project says the taste for locally made poultry shot up by almost 50% from the lockdown moments during the coronavirus. This means the import bill on chicken products reduced by 1.2 million cedis in the past 4 months alone. In today's edition of AM Business, Charles Aite places the spotlight on Ghana's largest local poultry producer, Darko Farms, as they expand production to meet local demand. Here's more.
The impact of the novel coronavirus on local poultry producers has been overwhelmingly positive. Here at Darko Farms, managers say the global pandemic has raked in more revenue than ever before.
Following all the protocols on our farm, you know, before COVID-19 came, even to enter this farm, you need to take a shower, you need to go through all those protocols already. So on the farms itself, it was nothing new to go through all the protocols.
According to the Deputy Managing Director of Darko Farms, Samuel Darko, the demand for local day-old chicks by various farmers has skyrocketed following the closure of the land and sea borders, which restricted the importation of day-old chicks.
You know, we have a lot of farmers who were not interested in local day-old chicks, which they thought the local hatcheries are not able to produce good quality. But with the COVID-19 issue and the closure of the airports, no day-old chicks were allowed to come in. So all these farmers were supposed to fall back, and they all fell back to Darko Farms. And now they have seen, and we have a lot of the farmers who have come back to us who are picking day-old chicks from us. They have now realized that the quality that they import is also available here in Ghana. So in a way, it has helped us positively.
In 2018, Ghana imported 511,000 broiler day-old chicks and over 7 million layer day-old chicks. Currently, there is limited regulation on local hatcheries. The government of Ghana is yet to pass into law a hatchery bill, which will ensure that quality day-old chicks are produced from domestic hatcheries. With local demand for day-old chicks rising thanks to COVID, Darko Farms is in the best position to dominate the market. Darko Farms has now been revitalized under government One District, One Factory initiative, with a re-injection of 22 million cedis from the Ghana Exim Bank. The Trade Minister, Alan Tremantin, as part of his second phase business tour of business resource centers and 1D1F factories in the Western North, Ashanti and Bono East regions, paid a whistle stop at Darko Farms, where he relished government revitalization program for struggling factories.
Today we are visiting one of our most celebrated industrial enterprises in Ghana, Darko Farms, which used to be the largest chicken producer in West Africa several decades ago. I know you've seen a couple of One District, One Factory enterprises, but there are two things in particular about this 1D1F factory that I would like to emphasize. First, this is an existing company that had fallen into distress because of harsh economic conditions in the past. And this is the point that I've been making continuously, that if government intends to support industries, it should not only be to incubate new industries, but also to be able to resurrect existing industries that have fallen into distress. Because this company falls into all the categories or criteria that we look for in identifying 1D1F companies. First, it is located in a rural community, which allows us to decentralize industrial development. Secondly, it is creating significant level of jobs, and you can see literally this is the major economic activity around this community. Number three, it is also a key instrument for import substitution. Why would we need to import chicken into this country when we have the capacity to support companies like this to do import substitution? And that's very significant for us. But it also goes beyond that. If this company is running at full capacity, it has the potential to export both eggs, chicken, and because it has a hatchery, it can also export day-old chicks. And so the potential even for optimizing our export business in Ghana is also very huge. So whichever way you look at it, would it make sense for us to abandon a company like this because it's an existing company and you would not support it under 1D1F? I don't think that would be fair.
Broiler and layer birds are kept exclusively indoors on deep litter and battery cages and fed on well-formulated diets. The broiler birds attain 2 to 2.5 kg live weight at 6 to 7 weeks and are ready for the market. Layer birds reach 16 weeks before pullets start laying eggs. Average industry egg production is 230 to 250 eggs per layer each year. The average cost per kilogram of producing broilers in Ghana is estimated at 15 Ghana cedis for large-scale producers and higher for small-scale producers. The average weight for broiler birds is between 2 to 2.25 kg, and that of dressed birds ranges from 1.5 to 1.9 kilograms. The impact of this capital will see a massive expansion of the production capacity of this poultry producing company. Management of Darko Farms are confident that the production capacity will shoot up by nearly half, from 4 million day-old chicks a year to 7 million when the new equipment is installed. Manager for Darko Farms, Samuel Darko, tells Joy Business the intervention will shoot up capacity and export margins of the company.
With the intervention of 1D1F, from hopes that by December you should see us in full production. We'll be producing broiler chicken from the processing plant. We're going to be producing close to 200,000 birds a month. We're going to be also turning out about 6 million day-old chicks a year. We're also going to be turning out about, we're going to have about 100 to 200,000 layers on the farm. And we're going to have producing close to about 60 tons of poultry feed for poultry farmers a day. Currently, all our day-old chick cockerels are all going to Burkina Faso. They pick it here from our factory right away. They are taking close to about 10 to 15,000 chicks every week to Burkina Faso from our factory here. On the chick side, the potential is there because we have orders coming in from Cameroon, we have orders coming in from Burkina Faso. That's the DOC. We have orders coming in from Liberia, and feed. We have orders also coming in from Liberia as well. It's just that because of the COVID-19 and border closes, those orders had been suspended for now. But we're hoping that in the next month to two, these orders will be able to go out.
Thank you. Commercial poultry production in Ghana can be categorized into larger scale, medium scale, and small scale. Domestic commercial farms are privately owned by individuals or family. As demand for chicken increases amid the pandemic, local producers of poultry like Darko Farms have positioned themselves for the best of returns. I'm Charles Aite for Joy Business.
And that's it for AM Business this week, putting the spotlight on the poultry industry. AM Business is brought to us courtesy EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. Make a date again next week. Stay with us. You're watching the AM show. Still to come, we'll share with you the third quarter road crash police report, details and a proper breakdown, as the Director of Education, Research and Training at the Police MTTD, Superintendent Alexander Kwekobing, joins us alongside Mr. Adonting of the Road Safety Authority. All coming up here on the show.
Standing on a crushed rock base, the exit of the first phase of the Obechebi-Lamte interchange. Now, this flyover, as you would see shortly, connects folks who are moving to and fro the Graphic Road and the Kaneshi area, so the Winneba-Accra Highway. And this is about, I'm told, 169 meters. And it's the first phase of the project, which is costing about $135 million US. This phase cost $35 million US and was started in November 2019. Was on course to be completed in November 2020, but for the unfortunate advent of the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm here trying to, wrap my head around the project and its complexities and how, for instance, its completion will lead to the easing of congestion of traffic flow, as you can see behind me, on this stretch. And so I'm going to talk to the resident engineer here, Engineer Owusu Setre Entry. He's a resident engineer in charge of consultancy, and his company is Fast Consultants, and they are in charge of the consultancy for this particular project, the very first phase. I'm going to talk to him to get some updates and, if you like, details on this project and why it's even useful. Thank you, engineer. Thanks so much for speaking.
You're welcome.
Great. So tell me about, I went to Accra Academy just right here, and so I'm not new to this stretch, but this is a major facelift for the road. Tell us the details.
As you say, right, thank you. You're welcome. The project is in two phases.
Okay.
Phase 1 is the bridge from the Graphic Road towards Kaneshi. That's phase 1. Phase 2 will be the bridge from the Circle Road to the Mochi Road. That's phase 2. But currently we are working on phase 1. Okay. And phase 1 is 35 million, as I said earlier. Right. Now the phase 1 has the bridge, a total length of 169 meters. Right. The bridge has reinforced concrete columns, piers we call them, the abutments, and the superstructure is made up of steel with concrete deck and asphaltic surface running. Basically that's what it is.
Okay, great. So that's 169 meters and it's supposed to link Graphic Road to Kaneshi. But what are some of the ancillary facilities that are coming with, apart from the flyover on phase 2? What else do we have?
Right, under phase 1, what we've done is we've improved the capacity of the underground storm drain around the area. That's, you look at the Hyundai showroom there. Yeah, there's a storm drain there. We've improved its capacity. And then
by improving its capacity, you mean what? You've expanded it?
Yeah, what it means is that it can take more water now than it used to take. Now, the other thing we've done is that the water from the Kaneshi side turned 90 degrees into the Odo River, the Odo Channel. Now what we've done is we eliminated the 90 degrees and put in a curve, a smooth curve. So the water flows in a smooth curve into the Odo Channel. And this also improves the flow of the river.
At 90 degrees, that was too much pressure and you had spillover.
Well, at 90 degrees, of course, water will always want to move smoothly. So at 90 degrees, you always have this backflow in there. And it also, what do you call it, the upstream people will always be having flooding. Okay. But with a smooth curve, the water will flow smoothly.
That's a major contribution to the floods that we saw there.
Yes, it's a major contributing factor. And as I said, we've also improved the capacity of the underground storm drain. Yeah.
Okay. And so what are we looking at? Maybe for you. We'll just try and turn around so that you are able to have a glimpse of the beams that they are laying and the reinforced concrete. These are steel beams, right?
That's correct. They are steel girders. Yeah, steel beams, right.
Okay, so what are they supposed to do? What are we looking at?
Now, currently, that we have the steel beams or the steel girders, we're going to put precast concrete slabs on them. We're going to put precast concrete slabs on them. The precast concrete have already been done. They are currently in the contractor's yard.
Okay.
Now put the precast concrete slabs on them, put reinforcement on the precast concrete slabs, and then put concrete on them.
Okay. Okay.
So that's just
okay. Then and this is supposed to take what? How many lanes are we seeing?
Right. Currently, it's a dual carriage.
Okay.
2 lane in, 2 lane out.
Okay.
2 lanes in, 2 lanes out. It's a dual carriage. 2 lanes in, 2 lanes out.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So up here, what we are not supposed to have pedestrians here, correct?
Well, you are not supposed to have pedestrians here. We only have a small walkway for workmen.
Okay.
Pedestrians are not supposed to use the road up here. So we don't have a pedestrian walkway on top.
Okay, so there's no pedestrian walkway up the flyover. So this flies on top of the roundabout. Well, tell me, is the roundabout going to be is it going to be collapsing? I mean, we are now able to fly all the way up. Are we going to collapse the roundabout?
The roundabout still remains.
Okay.
Now, the roundabout will be left to allow for those who want to change directions.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
For instance, someone moving from Kaneshi going to Circle would have to use the runabout.
Okay.
The runabout remains at the same level.
Okay.
Someone moving from Graphic Road going to Kolebu would have to use the runabout. Runabout uses at the same level. Now moving from Graphic Road to Kaneshi, you now use a flyover.
Okay.
Now under second phase, we have a second flyover, and that second flyover will fly over.
Over this one?
Over this one.
Okay.
The second flyover will fly over this one. So somebody from Circle going to Kolebu will fly over this particular one, and that will be another second phase.
Okay. Oh, that makes sense now. So what? The first flyover is from Graphic Road to Kaneshi.
That's correct.
The second flyover will fly from Circle to Kolebu. Okay. I mean, but we know that at the junction. You have the Abosokan folks. That place is a huge spot for traffic, and even the flow from here also. But flying over, we'll do it. We'll skip. Are we going to skip all those points?
Right. Now the second phase flyover flies over this current bridge. Okay. Now it will fly over the Abosokan spare parts road. It will also fly over the left turn that goes to the mosque. It will end just before the Zongo Junction traffic light.
Okay.
That's where this particular will end. Okay. Yeah.
And this one is just ending where we are.
Yeah. This also is just ending where you are, so that you drive, you then meet the Impramprum traffic light.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talking about the Impramprum traffic lights though, and you can see how the congestion is building up over there. I mean, there's a functioning traffic light, a very functional traffic lights there, but almost all the time, the movement from the Kaneshi market itself, where you have the overhead bridge itself up until this space, is congested. What this flyover contribute to maybe easing the congestion there?
As I said, the flyover ends just before the Impramprum traffic light.
Okay.
Right. We're going to improve the traffic light area and improve the road that passes in front of the training school.
Okay.
Right. Now, the market side is not part of this project.
Okay.
Right. The congestion on the market side is mainly due to the terminal,
okay.
the Trotro terminal.
Okay.
That will only improve if the BRT system works properly for us.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Because once the BRT system is working, you not be having that place not become a permanent terminal place for the BRT buses. They have their own depot somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So the buses working will build the buses that will be moving around. Unfortunately, the bus stops have become bus terminals. Mm-hmm. So buses working are there, buses waiting to be served are there. So you could have a bus standing there an hour without moving. So it makes the place congested. So that is an issue that has to be tackled differently.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Because I see what Cape Coast, Takrade, Seychelles, and all those vehicles parked there. But you see, the Pramprum Junction has what you maybe describe as narrow lanes that connect to the main Winneba Accra highway. What is going to happen there? Because I mean, 4 lanes. That's 4 lanes from the overhead the flyover, plus you're going to have 2 outer lanes.
Single lane,
1.5. Okay, 1.5. So that essentially will be like 7 lanes, give or take, going to meet that junction there. How are we going to, fix and dovetail these 7 lanes into that junction where you are now going to have the flow?
The lane passing in front of the market is actually 336.
Okay.
But as you said, the throttle people have taken over either 2 or 1.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. Now, the traffic light junction, we are going to improve upon the traffic light junction.
Okay.
And as I said, we're also going to improve on the road passing in front of
the training school.
The training school. That comes under phase 2.
Okay.
Manuel Cransing there with a roving report. He's somewhere around the capital again with another report. He'll come through with that. But right now, let's digest the figures for the third quarter. And I'm talking about road crash reports. The Director of Education, Research and Training with the MTTD, Superintendent Alexander Kwekobing, is here. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And this is from January to September 2020. We're going to compare to the same period last year. And I was just running through the cumulative reports. First of all, maybe I should get you to do a summary for us. How does it look? But I'm thinking that it doesn't look so positive, does it?
Thank you very much, and good morning to viewers. I think a cursory look, a bird eye view, clearly indicates to any detailed reader that the road safety problem that confront us, that normally undermine our public health and safety, is surging as compared with the same period last year. And in particular, if you look at it in terms of when we moved from the first quarter to the second quarter, where we were confronted with the COVID, which resulted in many of us getting restricted in our homes. Post-COVID, I might say, or post-restriction period of COVID has led to astronomical surge in road crashes, leading to more accidents being recorded as compared to last year, and vehicles involved in these crashes increasing more than last year, and associated injured persons have in fact generally also increased, and then deaths of compatriots have also increased. So if you look at all the indicators, it doesn't look good. But generally, when you look in it, you realize that vehicles involved in these crashes, vehicles that got involved in these crashes, the private vehicles slowed marginally.
Okay. So less private vehicles
getting involved in crashes as compared to commercial vehicles and motorcycles.
Okay.
And if you look at the vehicles user class, you observe that the percentile increase, particularly with motorcycles, be it tricycles or quadricycles or motorbicycles, increased worryingly by 16.55% as compared to commercial vehicles that increased 4.9%, and private vehicles decreasing by 1.42%. So you can obviously see that the the impact of motorcycles is getting worried by the day since 2 years ago. Because if you look at the deaths, which stands at 1,824 at the end of September, motorcycles accounted for 712. Private vehicles accounted for 411, and commercial vehicles accounted for 690. And you look at it in terms of numbers. I mentioned the percentage. If 17,663 vehicles were involved in these crashes, private vehicles accounted for 7,203. Commercial vehicles accounted for 6,618. Motorcycles, and I've mentioned the types, accounted for 4,022. But these few, if we compare with private and commercial, the motorcycles seems to be dwarfed, but they killed more. Okay, it's also obvious that because these vehicles have open sizes and occupants are exposed to threat of fatalities or injuries, because they are exposed to the hard surfaces and they get crashed, and there are not much restraint, no seat belts, nothing, and all that. So the motorcycle has become a problem that lacks also adequate solution, and therefore we need to continue to find appropriate ways, since motorcycle, be it three-wheeler or two-wheeler, has become diurnal part of our routine.
Yeah. I'll pick up on the motorcycle issue just to also summarize what you've been talking about. So 16.5% increase in motorcycle accidents, 1.82% increase in accident generally. There's a decline in pedestrian knockdown, 5.25% increase in persons killed as a result of accident, 1.32% increase in persons injured. So in terms of traffic offenses, driving without license also came tops with 558 cases. What is it that, and we're still comparing these figures to that of last year's same period, what has changed?
Basically, when you look at the impact of crashes, one significant part of this is that it looks as if the media support targeting the pedestrians as a result of these campaigns and all that, and the problem that emerged, and advocacy for pedestrian facilities on our roads has led to positive outcome.
Okay, so that's why we see the decline in the pedestrian knockdown.
However, at the same period, it has been compensated for by the motorcycle surge. And that's why, otherwise, with the 14% reduction in pedestrian knockdowns and deaths, naturally, accident and its impact on lives and property would have decreased, because we proud to hear anytime 100 people got killed, at that time 42 were pedestrians. Now it seems the equation is changing, but motorcycle is compensating for a worry. We also have to look at it in terms of the COVID impact. You observe that the COVID came with some protocols from the health officer, and that was global, that we have to physically distance ourselves a bit. And it impacted also on traffic enforcement, because traffic enforcement in our part of this globe is basically physical deployment, physical inspection, touching, and all that. And so with the protocol to socially distance, refrain from touching, among others, it became clear that fewer police officers were also deployed to look at to arrest those who were doing all manner of things as compared to last year. And the deterrence, I believe, also minimal deterrence also impacted. And therefore, you could see that though we are looking at the figures in terms of offences and those that we have put before court, but it seems to be a bit on the lower side as compared to last year. However, I think in spite of the challenges we have with the COVID, and given the recalcitrant nature of some of our road users, police was forced to deploy to detect, arrest, and prosecute to the extent that so far 1,744 Ghanaians have been convicted for varying road offences. And you mentioned one being those who are on train and are behind steering wheel or some licensed persons. Otherwise could have killed so many people if they had not been arrested. 20 of them were jailed by the courts, because we also observed that the court even has its own protocol saying that some of these things should not be entertained at the court. But given the seriousness of some of the behaviors that these repeat offenders and recalcitrant road users are putting up, the court sat and looked into the matter. And so far, 28 have been confined to the Gola, to jail. Obviously, tells us that with the letter that police is doing, it is also impact again. In all this, the court has imposed about 965,000 Ghana cedis on these offenders.
965,000
as court fines.
Okay, how much of that was actually paid?
Oh, so far, 952,140 Ghana cedis have been paid into the consolidated fund to serve as deterrent and also to refrain those who committed these offences from repeating it. And so, for us, this is where we are. One significant aspect of this data has to do with gender.
Okay. And
I think it is instructive and important that in this discussion we look at it. I'm saying that with the 1,824 that have been killed in Ghana on our roads between January and September this year, you have a census details that was recently done. I think 2012 we did a national census. It came out that of every 100 population in Ghana, 51 are women and 49 are men. So it means that the women are more than the male counterparts, and anything that has to do with the outward interaction, communication on a public road or public place, we expect that if that is it, then generally we expect that the impact will be felt more on women. But that's not the case, because our empirical analysis have shown clearly that our female counterparts are more deterrent, more disciplined, compliant, and in the process, if you see the 1,824, only one death is one too many. If you have a larger population be impacted minimally by 362 deaths, as compared to the fewer who are supposed not to have died, amounting to 1,462. Obviously, it is clear that of any 100 deaths, about 80 are men. And if you go into it, why? It is not rocket science. It is behavioral. It is the way people are taking care of their vehicles and deploying unsafe vehicles on the road, handled either supervised by men and handled by motorists who are males, and the way they behave on the road space, how they don't comply with certain principles, including speed, including changing lane, including following distances, including managing disabled vehicles, including non-compliance with protective clothing, including non-wearing of crash helmet on motorbike and among these counterparts as vehicle occupants not wearing seatbelts, and the way many males are driving distracted with one hand holding phone, WhatsApping, Facebooking.
So the women are better. The women are better.
Not that better.
More disciplined.
Ghanaian male road users naturally are supposed to copy. We want them to copy their female compatriots, because it looks as if the attitude that we have come up with from our infancy from home, the same attitude, which is so abhorrent, which is so tyrannical, which is so make people feel, may feel as if they are advantaged and therefore can do anything, and therefore you see them manifesting it the way they handle women. The same attitude is what we are seeing men bringing it on our road space. But the road space doesn't tolerate that attitude, that patriarchal attitude that I'm a man. It's not true, but that nothing can happen to me. The way we handle women. You see, I know if the literature and practice show that men mostly abuse women, and that kind of abusive attitude is the same attitude they bring on the road, and that attitude of abusiveness has nothing. It's not a bedfellow of road traffic regulation and all that, but they do it. But in the end, they thought that the women could not handle them and they abuse them. But on the road will abuse you, because if you don't maintain your vehicle well, if you don't handle the vehicle the way you have been taught by the driving instructor, consistent with the ethics and ethos of driving and the essence of the license and all that, you expose yourself in danger. And of course, men thought that they could not be touched, but the road is touching them, and we are exposed big time. That in Ghana, of every 100 deaths, though women are many, in terms of population, more men die. Of every 100, 80 men are dying. Why? Is it that the vehicle crashes? You think women don't travel? You think that women don't cross the road? You think that women don't board motorbikes? You think that women are not passengers? Or you think that women don't drive? No. They do, but they are more careful. Why? Because they look left and right before they cross. They make sure that where there are footbridges, they try as much as possible to walk there and cross. They know that when they are on vehicles, they wear seatbelts, and they know that when they are on motorbike, they wear crash helmet. They know, they are aware, and they put in practice that when they are driving, they know very well that they were taught that when one way to die is mismanaging your speeding behavior, and that women do it this way, that the instructors taught them that when you are about in urban environment, irrespective of the nature of the road, don't move above 50 kilometers per hour on your speedometer. They watch carefully and they drive on in the left lane and they move rightly. If it's the right lane, they move rightly, and they don't take it. They don't engage in excessive speeding. When their vehicle breaks down, they make sure that they get assistance, but before the assistance comes, they will deploy their warning triangle. And among others, you see women the way they sit, their posture. A woman will not move a vehicle without seatbelt. Not that they are indolent. No, because they comply with the best practice which protects all. And
so you seem very impressed with how generally the female's attitude towards riding on the road, and that shows in the figures. That's why you're calling on men to copy.
No, just copy. Don't. But see, in copying, we still carry on with our high horse attitude. That these people, they don't know anything. He's not brave. That's what we use to rationalize why, But the thing is that I'm saying copy because at the end of the day, this year, January to September, many men have been exposed that 1,462 have died. And they don't tell me that only men
got out on the road space. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Majority of road users between January and September this year were women in Ghana. But they took care of themselves because they are very much, exposed to the best road safety practices in terms of sensitization. They imbibe it and they put it in practice.
Great.
And not my compatriots who will go and get drunk, who will go on tramol, who will go and take weed, who will take cocaine and get drunk, binge drinking, and in the night they move about and their vehicle breaks, they don't do anything about it. You see a man driving a vehicle and you go and put some yama things on it and be facing oncoming vehicle and call himself, I'm a big man. Do you know me? And they drive facing oncoming vehicle and they crash head-on. Let me give you an example. When you look at the private vehicles, you see we have SUVs. And the SUV, by the end of this quarter, the SUVs they call V8s. V8s. SUVs, 2,040 have been crashed. It tells you, obviously, that you cannot come on the road space with your, when I was growing up, they call something your deviality. You see what I mean? Not talk say I'm a politician, I'm an engineer, I'm a journalist, I'm a police officer, I'm a road, a farmer, I'm a chief. No, the road doesn't know profession. It knows a well-cultured, trained driver who is permitted under section 53 of our Road Traffic Act 683 and has been qualified and licensed aside to handle that particular class of vehicle and at all times in traffic, demonstrating theoretically in traffic skills so that you ensure that the road is professionally and safely shared, ensuring that you drive defensively and respecting the rights of other road users. So that in Ghana since 1974, when we have said we drive on the right and your following distance should be such that you don't take it and that you don't unlawfully or change lane and face oncoming vehicles in curves and on hills and on crests and all that. If you put all this practice, this will happen. But majority of my compatriots, sorry that I'm also a male, but that is our nature. Yeah. And we must copy those that we think are weak but not. They are capable. They are more responsible.
Thank you for this call. I wanted to also ask about how we regulate the motor riders today, because they seem to be causing a lot of trouble, and the figures also show in this report. So how do we currently regulate their operations?
You see, what we are looking at is that motorcycle use has become pronounced. You see, the country has been overwhelmed. And the earlier we recognize that we have one road safety problem, which is the major road safety problem in Ghana, the better for us. We have a road safety problem. Nobody should hide. You can't hide it. That acquisition of motorcycle is simple, affordable, and within the means of many Ghanaians. That is the first point. Two, because of our systemic problems with public transport vis-a-vis road, motorable roads, and accessibility, motorcycle use has become a diurnal part of Ghanaians, both in urban environment, peri-urban, and rural, and of course farm states. It has become economic tool. It has become transport, and it has become an extension of our communication. And it is accessible, and it is available, and it is affordable, and even within the means of the poor. And without it, people are constrained to using their foot in many parts or carrying their load on their heads. And that is why it has become an attractive thing in Ghana now. And it is. We can be so sentimental to look at it in whatever we look at it. But whatever it is what I'm talking about. And so everywhere you go, as we are speaking, you are moving left, right, and either as a private or using it as dispatch or carrying passengers.
So how do we deal with them today?
So with this issue as confronting us, and we are aware, we cannot sit aloof. No country with this kind of characteristics in terms of motorcycles.
So what you're saying is that what we're seeing now, we're not regulating, because there's no way to regulate what we may be
regulating certain aspects of it. The aspects you may be regulating may be safety protocols. And then the safety protocol, wearing of crash helmets, sensitization, and the registering, and ensure that only those who are licensed are driving it. That adults 18 years and above. But even that, there are challenges there. And so we think that much attention has been paid.
Okay.
And I think that a lot of discussion must go into it. A lot of studies must go into it. We cannot throw them as and say that no.
Well, fortunately, it's become one of the important issues because of the political campaign.
If within January to August, it has killed 712, as compared to private that has killed 411, and commercial killing 690, and motorcycle being fewer and killing more. It is obvious that, and it is progressing. The whole of last year, we lost compatriots up to about 780 by motorbike. Okay, and this year, with the 1,824, it has already claimed over 700. That is a large chunk. In those days, we could say that was what pedestrian, how traffic was impacting on pedestrian. Now it has taken over, even over and above commercial vehicle, over and above private. And I think that with this road safety problem, being motorbike, and was also envisaged as such when UN promulgated Decade of Action for Road Safety in 2010, and it is hitting us back because not much has been done. I think that it is a wake-up call, and we must do something about it.
Okay, so, it's also in the spirit of our campaign, Arrive Alive. We wanted to share the figures with you as the police is sharing with us as well, so that we're not just talking, we're not just showing you visuals sometimes, we're not just reporting on accident, but it's claiming a lot more lives. There are many others who have been injured in the process, who are not able to get back to work. So thank you very much. We will be picking up on the figures that you've shared. This is just the first leg of this conversation with the figures. So, but just before we go, there's one more thing that my producer wants me to clear in terms of what is resulting in the accident. Is it the roads? Is it the cars?
I think in the process, I mentioned a lot of them.
Because you've talked about the attitudes.
When I look at the attitudes, however, let me also advocate. It's very important that in the midst of this, when you look at where some of these crashes occur involving commercial and private vehicles, we could have prevented it. And the more we make investment in that area to help us. One area that I want, as a country, we look at is that wherever we can get support, let us get it, and dualize our road from Aflao to Accra to Elubo. And let us try as much as also dualize from here, the N6 one through Kumasi, Swami Runabout to Offenso, all the way to Bupi, Tamale, Boga, and Paga. If you are able to do that, we will reduce road crashes that are headlong, that claim more life, almost about 60%. Having said that, I will also admonish that moving on, we must try as much as possible to invest in areas that will assist the state to have capacity and the support from the private partners to come and remove broken down vehicles on these single carriages that people run into and die such painful death. And finally, we know that there are high-risk commercial drivers who need adequate training. That has been the vision of Ghana since 2012 in the Road Traffic Regulation 2012 Regulation 33. And I think that driver retraining has to be revisited, particularly the high-risk commercial drivers who embark on intercity journeys.
Okay.
When we are able to arrest these three to a very large extent and we support us with this campaign,
okay,
I know we can achieve much for Ghana.
Thank you very much for your time. And that's the Director of Education, Research and Training at the MTTD, Superintendent Alexander Kweku Obeng, on our Arrive Alive campaign, as we've shared the figures with you. Right now, though, let's go to the Atomic Junction area. Remember, exactly 3 years ago, 7th October 2017, there was an explosion. Around this time on our show, we were reporting on that incident. It's been 3 years. How does it look like? Our roving man, Manuel Cranting, is on the ground. He will tell us what he can see and what he can report. Manuel, take it over.
Great. So, Mama V, this is exactly the place where the incident happened. 3 years ago, a gas filling station, which was sited right here at Atomic Junction, went up in flames, killing 7 people in the process. Many more people were injured. 3 years down the lane, though, what we see now is a lorry station which has sprung up, and as you're seeing, people coming in here to board the vehicles and moving out. Quite interestingly, just across the street is another filling station, and later, as you will see, just about 100 meters to my right, there's another Total filling station, which, you know, the two of them have sandwiched this particular lorry station in the middle. And you'll remember that just after that unfortunate incident on 7th October 2017, the National Petroleum Authority instituted new regulations, as it were, to minimize the occurrence of such incidents in the country. Key amongst them was the fact that there's the need for a fire service personnel to be on site any time there's a discharge or offloading of product into any reservoir in the fuel stations. Also, they're supposed to have, in fact, they introduced new regulations on siting. And these were supposed to take the filling stations out of densely populated areas. These we have seen being, as it were, enforced to a certain level. But what are the people who were here on that fateful day? What are their sentiments? Some of them, in fact, still do work here, though. And I'm going to try and speak to this man. He's a taxi driver here at the Atomic lorry station. My boss, good morning.
Fine morning, sir.
I hope everything is fine.
Yes, sir.
Great. It's 3 years. Tell me what you remember from that day.
Yeah, can be and then it's actually 3 years. Yeah, it just share case and see what Atomic Junction. Yeah, I'm what I see.
Okay.
Yeah, some case pa and see or Hanum. Now, mobile has a crime my rahopa. If you said that, you know, every minute, you know when you're basa. And the man could you my cry. Oh, can be baby. So
then Kasana okay. You say a just say Hano, but one Kasana or Hano, then okay.
Make up as a bass, I'm to make up and make up your cab in more.
Come in,
I make up and he take us too.
Okay.
I'm a cast of my FM.
Okay.
Present our Corino, who flew over here, so about here for money, Timo Pie. I'm a cast be show. I'm a judge, one or more, Gabi and I will say go. Or cross over Total filling station inside Akopiska on was a shake. Yeah.
What he's telling me about a few of the things that he remembers from that fateful day, mentions how they had to escape, for their own lives, and says he drove and ran into 2 vehicles here, and recalls that unfortunate, demise of an Oman FM reporter who fell off from that overhead bridge, which you see is just around here, 50 meters from here, which you see shortly. But if he sat down on Kasanka, then ACBM, you say Hanwashi and Uncle Fu, but in Kofo Bahano, then I'm kind.
If he sat down, near be crap packing Yajuma and see and paying for no. And a paper be a shock chocolate, and Najan. I have bred traffic, Papa never been fat. That time, I know who how. Yeah, who joy FM, yeah, who my FM, who will be a Tamani and Hochino. But you say now, Enema, I started a Pekino. afi bi aso a afi na radio for ne TV for no o mba betie enu ma asem de yeko ba edu aho kire no ye hu mo bia yes kwa isi amba mo de mo hwa ase hwe de wa iti mi shoto a itete atechem sa afi bi aba mo bebusa ye ka kire mo afi bi aba mo ka 3 years in the the same story but yes the eternity.
All right, so he's telling me, say no, Abu any day, say Nyamia de Krano, Yamamo Yako, Arishemu. And so we're going to try and speak to a few more people here at the station. I'm told that the vice president of the lorry station here is here and is ready to talk. But let me talk to this man. Great. What's your name?
My name is Samuel George.
What do you remember from that day?
Oh, that day I remember it was a confusion everywhere. Everywhere, people were running up and down. People got bent, cars crashing. I remember people were running up and down, cars crashing. And even I remember they stole somebody's car, a Range Rover. Was coming to purchase something at the filling station. When a thing happened like that, he left the car and somebody took the car. But I remember they said they caught him and collected the car for him. People ran and left their phones and things, and people were taking advantage of that, stealing phones and things. But some of them were arrested.
Some of them were arrested.
Yeah.
And so that's the account of somebody who was here, and he's just giving us what he saw and what he learned that day. We'll try and follow, stay here a bit longer and get you some more reaction from a few more of the people who are around here. But Mavi, just as you asked, 3 years down the lane, 2 more filling stations sandwiching a new lorry station right here at the spot where the event happened. My name is Manuel Kranting. Mavi, over to you.
Roving man Manuel Kranting, roving from Atomic Junction. We're smiling today, but we were not smiling 3 years ago. So just bringing back memories from 3 years and telling us how the place looks like today. Now, let's talk about the National Science and Maths Quiz. It's been exciting, even in view of COVID-19, and we thought that we won't get the same feel, but it's been incredible so far. We are now counting down to the grand finale. In studio, I've got Mr. Samuel Ajo, who's with Prime Time Limited, and Isaac Esiedu O'Day is Deputy PRO of the Ghana Education Service, sponsors of the National Science and Maths Quiz. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Mama.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And I think I've summarized it by saying that I guess we didn't know how this was really going to turn out with all the restrictions, with the social distancing and all of that. But it's turned out to be really good.
Sure.
So just tell us how it's been from the organizational point of view, because most of us were just watching and was just following on social media.
Okay.
What's been the difference this year, last year?
Well, thank you once again for having me. So normally what the usual thing we do is for the national championship, prior to that we do the regional qualifiers, where we go around the country to select 108 schools who joined the 27 seeded schools from the previous year's edition to make 135 schools who are assembled in Accra for a month period for the national championship. But with the new normal that we had to find ourselves, we needed to really re-strategize. And so in consultations with our stakeholders, especially GS, we came out with the plan of, instead of having 135 schools in Accra, we'll have a reduced number, that's 81 schools. And so we decided to organize the prelims in the regions. So we went to the regions and organized the prelims where we selected 54 schools. Then they came to join the 27 seeded schools from previous year's edition. And we had 81 schools for which we brought them to Accra for the national championship. Of course, in ensuring that we observe all the safety protocols that's laid down by the WHO and Minister of Health, we decided to do it more and more like virtual, that's without audience, so that we know what's the attraction that the NSMQ brings when it's time for the season. And so we didn't want to be found having to get a whole lot of numbers around the program, and we thought that wouldn't sell out well for us, and therefore we had to do what we have been asked to do, to observe all the rules. And so we decided to stream all the contests from the prelims to the finals live on our social media handles, the NSMQ Ghana. You could catch it on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So right from the prelims, people and patrons were watching from there. So we came to Accra for the 1/8 stage, the final stage, which we currently, it's ongoing, and for which the finals is coming tomorrow.
Let me just ask the GAS about your impression so far with this year's competition.
Mamavi, for us from GS, we always want to appreciate Prime Time for their wonderful efforts since the conception of the National Science and Maths Quiz. If you realize today, it has become a topical national issue. Everybody's talking about it. COVID virtually stole everything from our school, but National Science and Maths have brought something to smile about, to cheer about. So we're always grateful to all our partners, especially multimedia too. You have been wonderful. It is always running on your portals and your news stories. So we are so grateful. Everybody is involved, especially the old students too. They have been doing well. In fact, it's actually a contest between them more than even the contestants themselves. So interesting how they are actually mobilizing funding to actually feed their students in the various locations that they find themselves in.
So what are your expectations for the finale, the finals? I say it's a clash between 3 regions.
Exactly so. You know, the former capital, Cape Coast, Adisco, then the current capital, Greater Accra, that is Presec, then our almighty Kumasi, the Garden City. So it's actually a contest between these 3 cities and also a contest between the 3 missionaries. Presby is there, Roman Catholic is there, and Anglican is there. People have not looked at that one too. So it tells you it has a lot of colors and a lot of euphoria to come with. So we are so grateful to our churches too. You know, their schools are doing well.
Yeah, absolutely.
The schools are doing well.
You know, just the last one in terms of what people should expect with the finale.
Well, I believe it's going to be a very tense and exciting contest because all 3 schools are former champions of the National Science and Maths Quiz. And so I wouldn't see anything less than some excitement, some tense moment, and some very, very interesting situation that we'll witness tomorrow. I wish all the competitors the best of luck, and want to say a big thank you to all our sponsors who have made it possible for us to bring the National Science and Maths Quiz 2020, especially the GS, who is the main sponsor, Absa Bank, in partnership with Absa Bank, and then we have Joy News, with our media partners, and you've been with us all through. We have Airtel Tigo, we have Prudential Life Insurance, we have Goyle, Dano Milk, Accra College of Medicine, Central University, Academic City, Medifem, Third Eye, Newmont Ghana, YFM, and GTP, and then Adansi Travels as well. So we are most grateful to all our sponsors for making it possible for us today. NSMQ 2020. We're in a new normal, and therefore we've been able to achieve what we set out to do.
Absolutely. I'm adding to that. What time is the contest tomorrow, by the way?
So it starts at 2 p.m.
Okay.
2 p.m.
All right. Okay, gentlemen, thank you. I'm going to have the students join us because we have the finals of the 3 schools right here. You've got to stay with us. You're still watching Joy News and definitely the AM show. Oh, so the gentlemen are here, right here in our studio, the finalists, the 2020 National Science and Maths Quiz. I've got the 3 schools, the 3 churches, and the 3 regions and cities in the studio. Good morning, all of you.
Good morning.
I remember some of your names. So, Justice, can you raise your hand? Daniel, Isaac, Ivan. Okay, I think the 2 OAS guys behind, I didn't get your name. So, can you shout it? Jephthah. Okay? Richmond. Jephthah and Richmond. And then you 3 gentlemen, can you introduce yourselves?
My name is Nbebu Nona, Adisayo College.
Okay.
I'm Benjamin Kitia, Presec Legon.
Okay.
Nobo Tinasama, Bukwari School.
Okay. All right, so you guys, the finals tomorrow, but can we pretend that we don't have any finals? Do you know yourselves? Because you're from Opokowari, you're from Presec, you're from Adisco. Have you guys said hello to each other? Like, are you friends?
Yeah.
Have you tried to connect?
Yeah.
Or it's still the competition?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Noble? Nah. Why? You want to wait after the competition?
I'm more like a reserved person.
Oh, you're like a reserved person. Okay. So how has it been for you guys so far? I'm tempted to ask, did you expect to be in the finals? but you would be bossy and say, yeah, of course, you came to be in the finals. So how has it been at this school?
It's been terrific. The journey has been tough, but then God has been in control. But from the beginning, it was not easy, but moving on, we learned never to give up, always to keep your head in the game and give off your best and leave the rest to God. And here we are in the finals.
Which school scared you?
Frankly speaking, I don't think any school scared us.
Really?
Frankly speaking.
Yeah? Presec? Did you get any scare?
It wasn't a scare, but a school gave us a round for it.
Okay, which school is that?
It was Ghana National College in our quarterfinals.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were you thinking then?
Oh, okay. Me, at first, when I was on stage, I was giving off my best. And when I came down, and then it was left with true or false and riddles. You know, true or false, if it doesn't go on well, we are going home. Yeah, so I was just praying, God, let us win, and then we won. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Noble, you don't like talking, but how has it been?
It hasn't been easy though.
You don't make it look like that when you are seated there. You make it look like it's... You should see our newsroom when you guys are competing. So it hasn't been easy, apparently. Did any school give you, make you think that they were going to eliminate you? You don't remember? Should I consult the two back there? Yeah? No school gave you a scare? So what are you thinking? What are you thinking tomorrow? I mean, you guys are here, and it won't be as friendly as it looks like today. So what are you thinking would do the trick for you tomorrow? Noble, I want to start with you.
The ultimate trick is God. It's God.
Yeah?
Yeah. That's always been God.
What do you say just before the contest?
A prayer.
Okay. As you're seated there.
Yeah.
Is that same for you, Presec?
Yes, please.
Okay. Adisco?
Same.
Do you think about the people either at home, like back watching you, or the people who are seated in terms of your colleagues? What do you think about? Do you imagine all the scenarios playing out? Or you're just concentrating on what is happening?
It's more of like when you are backstage before you get to sit on the stage. I think that's when you can lose focus and think about what might go on wrong, and you think about what others might say if you lose and stuff like that. But when you're seated on the stage, you need to focus on what's going on, because if you lose concentration, everything might go on wrong. So I'm sure all of us, we actually focus on what's going on.
Yeah. Okay, there's one more thing that I want you guys to do for us, because you're representing your schools, you're also representing your regions. You may not know that, and you're representing 3 churches apparently. Did you know that?
Yes.
So I want you guys to sing your school anthem. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Shall we start with... Let's start with the WAS, because you're there. You ready, guys? Can you get closer to Noble? Yeah. All right. Noble, you have to start too, because you're the one with the mic.
Okay.
Oh, Alma Mater, born of a great name, fought with a mighty sword. Blessed by the Almighty God, in the radiance shall receive light. Sure by honor we shall preserve for thy defense we shall fight. Your place among the great you uphold, knowledge radiate from hallowed Akatashe. Let the horse and always resonate. Let the horse and always resonate with the glorious hymn. Magnificat anima mea Dominum Deus
Yo, I see where you know your background is in there, is in what you just sang. I sense Catholic in there. That's why I said you're representing 3 churches. So thank when you say Akatechi, what just to say? Akatechi. Ogodonim. Hey, I know what I said. Okay, Prisek, representing the Presby Church. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear you.
Happy are we, studious are we, students of Presbyterian Secondary School. Onward we march, we trudge along to happy victory, to victory, to victory. Our motto is a solid bulwark propping us along. Illuminate you, be there be Muslim men in the light, we shall see light. Illuminate you, be there be Muslim men. For Christian training we get a sure solid foundation to take our places in the future of our country and church. For Christian training we get a sure solid foundation to take our places in the future of our country. Oh, come along and join us. Oh, come along and join us. Happy studios are we. For Christian training we get a sure solid foundation to take our places in the future of our country and church. For Christian training we get a sure solid foundation to take our places in the future of our country. Oh, come along and join us. Oh, come along and join us. Happy studios are we.
Hey, well, at this school. At this school, what were you consulting? Anthem to. Okay,
Oh, no.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's hit it.
Up Santa Claus, stand up to honor those who have gilded the school with their fame. Our alma mater, a blessing upon her, bids us remember the strength of their names. Others have labored and we share the glory, ours to do exploits and ours to their gains. Those who come after will take up our story, may it be worthy of singing again. Play up Santa Claus, play up and play the game. Give nothing but your best and never think of rest. Play up for the school's great name. Play up Santa Claus, so we do play up and play the game. Give nothing but your best and never think of rest. Play up for the school's great name.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, all three schools and all three churches, sorry. Three schools. Okay, let's talk about the rounds, okay? There are 5 rounds in the competition. What is the round that gives you, I don't want to say a scare, but which round are you most afraid of? Any of you guys can attempt this one. Round 4. For Noble, round 4? Yes?
Round 4.
Round 4.
Round 4, sure.
Why round 4?
Is the point where you can actually win or lose a contest, because it's very tricky and technical. You just have to say true or false and you can decide a whole lot.
Yeah. So yesterday when we were monitoring the contest in the newsroom, somebody said, are they really like answering the question? Like, are you really answering, or because it's true or false, you have to say one of them?
No, really, no.
Not really. So you're always answering, like you're sure that it's true or false.
You can't always be sure, and you can't always know whether it's true or false. But then sometimes you have to be very smart and very technical.
Really? Is this same for you?
Yeah, I think you have to let Isaac talk about that, because I don't do true or false.
So Isaac, is it like you know the answer for sure, just not? Yeah, sometimes. Okay, Noble, is it like you see objectives and it's an exam and you have to tick even if you don't know? Is that it for you?
You see, if you get it wrong, you get penalized. So you have to get it right. That's not what you're coming to see.
So you don't just say true or false?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cleared up. So what's the most exciting round for you guys?
Round 5.
Yeah.
Round 5.
Round 5?
Yeah.
Round 5?
Round.
Why?
Round 2.
I thought you said round 3. Round 2.
Round 2.
Why round 2?
I don't know, I just like round 2.
Okay, so why round 5?
Round 5 is riddles. Like, you can blow everybody's mind by going on their first clue. Yeah. And you can also change it, because it's the last round, it's a game changer. So if you are down by 12 points, you can just win the contest by using riddles. Okay. It's very exciting.
I feel, sometimes when the quiz mistress just reads, sometimes she doesn't even make sense to me, the person watching, and then somebody rings the bell. Is that like a way of setting your own question, like setting the rest of it and answering? So you talk, hoping that you find the answer in your response. Is that something that you guys came up with?
Sometimes it's a prediction. Like if it's a spurious question, you can guess that this is what she's come to talk about. Maybe like some terms that she's using is only one thing that will point to. So when you get a pointer, then you just go for the bell. Sometimes it doesn't work out and you get -1, but you still have to continue the contest.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you guys are going against tomorrow.
Yeah.
What are your expectations?
Expecting all the schools are good, so you're just expecting it to be very tough and expecting to give off our best. If you win, all the same, we are cool. But then, in as much as we are in the finals, we are in to win. So by God's grace, let's look up to tomorrow.
Okay, Prisek?
Okay, the finals will be exciting. It's very exciting that we're in the finals, and we give God all the glory. So we are coming off with our best. We know the other two schools are also very strong sides. So we are giving off our best, no complacency, and we hope that God will take us through.
Is it a way of confusing us? I saw a Prisek post that said, you guys don't talk, you're not bragging. You're just, even though you want to talk about 6, you're not talking about 6.
Oh.
Opokuwari,
I think
what should we expect tomorrow?
The very best, and I feel God will compliment our efforts because it won't be easy.
Okay, so who will win?
You tell us.
Oh.
Sure.
Should I? How can I?
It's a prediction, it's like any
Oh,
game.
you want me to predict?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What's the prize? What are you putting on it?
The trophy.
Part of the winning money.
Part of the winning. Say it again. Part of the. Say it all. I have witnesses. I mean, is your master here? As in your teacher, your coordinator.
Yeah, he's with us.
So say it again so that he can hear you. Then I can predict that Prisek will win. Then you give me part of the money if it does come true. Yeah. But you guys, listen, this is what I want to say. There are greater numbers that you're representing that you may not even know. So I want you to just say something to Opokuwari, for instance. Americans are watching right now. So just, I don't know, anything that you want to share with your followers, old students, the people in the region who are watching, the Catholic Church as well. Go ahead.
Well, we are just putting our best and God will see us through.
Okay. Prisek?
Okay, for everybody that is supporting us, the old boys, the other day.
You have one old boy. I saw George Rafi around.
Oh, yeah. Wow. The old boys, my family, especially my dad, he's been very supportive. And everybody that is affiliated to me, my church, yeah, we are just...
Your church, the Presby Church?
No, I'm
okay. Which church are you talking about?
Church of Pentecost.
Church of Pentecost, okay.
Yeah.
All right, they are praying for you, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. Adisco?
Well, I would like to say thank you to all the old boys, all the fans, all the support. Even when we were getting it wrong, they were still supporting us. When the going was tough, they were there for us.
What does that make, what does that do to you? Sometimes you answer the thing, that you get the thing wrong and they are still clapping and making noise.
It's sort of boost you up, it's sort of, you know that someone has got your back, like even when things are not going on well.
Yeah.
You just have to keep your head in the game. So for that, I'm very grateful. We are very grateful to all the old boys, all Santa Clausians, old and young, all around the world. We are very grateful.
Nice. Opokuwari, is it your school that does that thing? Is it Opokuwari? What is that? Is this a ritual?
Kind of.
Can you guys show us? Because it looks like it's some coordinated something. Can you 3 guys show us?
No.
The 3 of you that you don't do it?
No.
Oh, it's a prayer?
Yes.
But you say you can't do it. If it's a prayer. So it will happen tomorrow?
That's fine.
Okay. All right. So gentlemen, I can only wish you the very best. If you're putting something on it, then I can predict. But you're all brilliant. So it's not like we're looking for the most brilliant school. That's not what we're looking for. You entertain us as well, and you make us sharper. And there are other students who are also watching from home and in other places. And you inspire, I think, most of all. So thank you for what you do, and the very best tomorrow in the competition. Okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
If you're not able to answer a question, just call me. I'll come to your rescue.
No worries.
And so that's it. The 3 schools in the finale tomorrow, the National Science and Maths Quiz. You've seen them, you've heard from them. And just watch, because it will be live here on Joy News. The National Science and Maths Quiz is produced by Primetime Limited and sponsored by the Ghana Education Service with support from APSA. The broadcast of the National Science and Maths Quiz is by Joy News, your most credible news channel, and it is supported by Bright Senior High School in Kokrotumi, also DBS Roofing, Adonko Hand Sanitizer, and Adonko Next Level Energy Drink. And so we'll bring you the contest tomorrow, thanks to our supporters from us here on the AM show, and these fine gentlemen who have graced our studio, who are all final year students. So we won't see you next year on the National Science and Maths Quiz stage? No. So this is it.
This is it.
This is it.
Yeah.
So shall you have to win? So they will see you tomorrow, God willing, on that stage, and we will be covering it live. Stay with us. We've got show business news coming up.